Get out! Your old lady smell is ruining my new house. Michaela threw disinfectant on me as I attended her housewarming. Drenched and overwhelmed by the pungent smell, I felt something snap inside me. Standing up silently, I flashed a terrifying smile at Michaela and said, "Then I'll clean this up for you. After all, I built it." I went upstairs to Michaela's room to get something. My name is Harmony. I'm a 72-year-old retired confectioner. More precisely, a former pâtissier who ran a cake shop. I retired due to a leg injury. Now I help my son and his wife, who have taken over the business, living a modest life. Harmony, you must be happy your son took over. At the tea parties I occasionally attend, I bring cakes made by my son and his wife, earning praise from the neighbors. Today at the tea party, I was engrossed in fun conversations. When a neighbor mentioned my son, I stared at my tea, lost in thought. A shop with many memories, isn't it? I reminisced about the past. Indeed, my life had been full of ups and downs. I opened my patisserie at 35. After a decade of training in France, I had decided to open my own shop upon returning. My parents opposed, saying a cake shop in the countryside wouldn't work. I defied them, saying, "I'll do it my way," and opened my shop. It became popular in 6 months, becoming the talk of the town. My French-trained skills were praised, attracting customers quickly. My once opposed parents came to respect and fully support me. Time to think of the next new creation. Daniel, my husband, supporting our cake shop, spoke to me while preparing for the next day. Summer is tough for sales. Maybe a cold dessert would be a hit. That's what I was talking about with Daniel. That's when we heard the bell at the shop door, and I hurried to the counter. "Welcome!" Oh, it was Michaela, my sister-in-law, who appeared. 2 years older than me, she was always flamboyant. Having moved from the city, she dressed to stand out, enjoying the attention. Today, she wore an actress hat and sunglasses, not fitting for the countryside. Honestly, I disliked her. Her hurtful remarks and belittling of our cake shop were intolerable. Being a doctor at a university hospital, she flaunted her income and education. She only did this when my brother Kendrick wasn't around. I was deeply annoyed by her cowardice. "Boring as ever. The decor's outdated, and it's dusty. Do you even clean?" Michaela, worried her fancy clothes would get dirty, was her usual self. I couldn't hide my annoyance, responding curtly. "Did you come just to say that?" "I just stopped by on my way to my new house. Why else would I visit such a place?" While looking around, Michaela carelessly picked up a cookie and placed it roughly at the register. "I can't see this shop lasting, but I'll contribute to the sale since you're Kendrick's sister." She bought a mere $7 cookie with that attitude. Who could warmly welcome such a sister-in-law? If she weren't Kendrick's wife, I'd have her out of here immediately. As I wrapped the product, grappling with these complaints in my heart, Michaela continued her tirade. "Poor Kendrick, having such a failure for his sister. He said he gave up on his own shop because of you." Her words painfully struck my heart. Kendrick had generously helped finance my shop's construction. When I returned and found no support, only Kendrick stood by me. Later, I discovered the money he used was his own saved-up capital for starting a business. "If you hadn't interfered, Kendrick might have had his own shop by now. Really pitiable." "Then why don't you help him financially?" Daniel appeared behind me and retorted sharply at Michaela, glaring at her. "It's between Harmony and Kendrick, and not for outsiders like us. Only Kendrick has the right to complain about Harmony. Do you even have the right to blame her?" Daniel, undaunted by Michaela, confronted her. Michaela, seemingly annoyed by Daniel's audacity, furrowed her brows and removed her sunglasses with a puzzled look. "Of course I have the right. That money was mine. You have no business interfering in this." "The funds for Harmony's shop were from before Kendrick married you, right? If Kendrick has no complaints, why should you persistently blame Harmony? Harmony is my wife. Which husband would remain silent while his wife is being maligned? Daniel shielded me from showing my tears to Michaela. I felt reassured by his presence and grateful to be his wife. Michaela, apparently not amused by Daniel's words, roughly grabbed the wrapped cookies from the counter and left without another word. After she left, we put up the closed sign, and Daniel embraced me. You endured well. Danny, I can't do this anymore. I don't have the confidence to get along with someone like her. Even if she's Kendrick's wife, I can't bear being treated this way. Are you not going to tell Kendrick? I can't. He's already looking after Mom and Dad. I can't trouble him just because I can't get along with her. Kendrick, working as a chef in a hotel, was also taking care of our parents. Despite the long commute he managed, he had saved to open his own shop and be closer to our parents. It was with this in mind that he was saving money. Money can be earned again. I want to see you succeed as a top patissier. This money is an investment in your future. You'll definitely become famous. Kendrick assured me, investing $2 million in my startup. I was deeply grateful to Kendrick, and when he married Michaela, I was overjoyed. But I never expected her to be like this. I was tormented daily by what to do. Tomorrow, we're going to Kendrick's housewarming, right? Maybe you could mention it to him. If Kendrick talks to Michaela, maybe she'll stop. Tomorrow, we're invited to the housewarming party, and I'll finally see Kendrick after such a long time. Reluctantly, agreeing to the words persuaded by Daniel, I focused on closing up the shop. Lately, I couldn't bring myself to tell Kendrick about Michaela. Kendrick's happiness, while he supported Mom and Dad, was precious. Despite sacrificing his own dream of opening a shop, I couldn't burden him further with Michaela's issue. I just couldn't simply nod to Daniel's suggestion. As days passed without a decision, Daniel and I, with a shortcake in hand, visited Kendrick's new home. Harmony and Daniel, long time no see. Glad you could make it. Kendrick welcomed us right in at the doorstep. Michaela was out shopping and wasn't there. I felt relieved not seeing her. Noticing this, Kendrick looked at me worriedly. What's wrong? You look pale. Is it the new house smell? No way. Just had a bit too much to drink with Danny last night. I forced a smile to reassure Kendrick. To avoid any awkward conversation, I asked to see around the new house. Kendrick shared that apart from the tidy living room, their personal items were still in boxes. We agreed not to go upstairs as per his request. Soon our parents arrived, and we enjoyed a rare family gathering. Then Daniel seized the opportunity to bring up yesterday's topic. Sorry to bring this up at a housewarming, but there's something about Michaela we need to discuss. Wait, Danny. I wasn't ready. Daniel's words made me panic, but he looked at me earnestly, holding my hand. Harmony, I've seen how hard you've worked, thinking about the family. Keeping your struggles to yourself seems unfair to Kendrick and the others. Struggles? Harmony, have you been having a hard time? Realizing I was hiding something, everyone looked worried. I regretted my foolish thought of just enduring it all. Actually, I've been harassed by Michaela for a long time. What? Everyone was shocked, especially Kendrick. It would be so. Understandably, knowing his wife was bullying his sister-in-law is shocking. Unable to speak, Daniel explained the situation for me. Silence followed. Only heavy air flowed there. I wondered if I should have kept quiet. That's when Kendrick, as if having made a decision, spoke to Mom. Mom, I've made up my mind. That's right. No need to hold back any more. Huh? Daniel and I exchanged looks at the unexpected response. Dad explained the situation, leaving us speechless, just as we were about to ask more. I'm back. It's so hot outside. Is Kendrick not here? Michaela returns home at the worst possible time. The family spirits dampen, as if sensing the charged air of her untimely arrival. I'm off then. With those words, Kendrick disappears towards the entrance, and Daniel suggests we store the cake he brought in the fridge for now. As Mom and I moved to do so, we reach for the fridge door. Hey, don't you touch our stuff! Shouted at by Michaela, who just entered the living room. Mom and I jump in surprise. "I'll take care of the house. Just stay put. It's fine." Michaela, recalling Kendrick is around, snatches the cake from me with a creepy, pleasant smile. Her words seem softened, but there's an underlying sharpness, especially as she roughly takes the cake. Mom, witnessing this, is speechless. Unable to react, she's shocked by such treatment in front of her. Feeling hurt, I urge Mom to join me on the living room sofa. Sitting next to Daniel, I tried to hold back tears. "Thank you all for coming to our housewarming today. If you have gifts, I'll gladly accept them." Michaela takes over as if she's the host. Her greedy words irritate both Daniel and me. Our parents, watching her closely, reluctantly present their gift to Michaela. I, not keen but following suit, hand over my gift, which Michaela snatches. "What a boring gift. Typical," Michaela mutters, just loud enough for me to hear. Shocked at her audacity to complain despite receiving a gift, I feel my patience turning into anger. Then, Michaela takes out a bottle of disinfectant from a supermarket bag. "Well then, let's wrap this up," she says, splashing the disinfectant on me. Drenched, I'm stunned, and my family cries out in alarm. "So I guess it's the height of the party." Just as she said that, Michaela turned towards me and splashed the disinfectant on me. I was drenched in disinfectant, completely soaked. Shocked by the sudden turn of events, I was speechless, and my family around me gasped. "Hey, Michaela, what are you doing?" Mom, more than anyone else, raised her voice and stood in front of Michaela to protect me, and everyone glared at Michaela. Michaela sneered at this and threw her final words at me. "The smell of an older lady will dirty my new house. Get out." At that moment, something inside me snapped. Silent, I stood up, with a frighteningly pleasant smile towards her. "So, you hate filth that much? Well, let me clean it up for you. After all, I built this place." Michaela, seeing me smile, seemed terrified and stepped back. I snatched all the presents from her, ignoring Michaela's complaints, and headed to the second floor. Conveniently, there was a plate with Michaela's name on it in front of the door, and I boldly walked inside. I picked up a cardboard box, still packed, and dropped it from the second floor to the first with a bang. "Hey, what are you doing?" Michaela tried to stop me as the boxes tumbled down one after another, but with so many boxes rolling down from the second floor, she couldn't come up and could only desperately scream in vain as I dropped the last box. "Do you realize what you're doing?" Michaela, showing her true colors in front of Kendrick, glared at me with a devilish face. Unconcerned about her, I went downstairs and asked Daniel with a smile, "Can you hold back that noisy trash for me? We can't let the dirty germs out. The new house will get dirty with the smell of mold, right?" Daniel must have been scared too. The words from my ever-smiling face were no longer treating Michaela as a human, and I was throwing all her belongings outside with apparent delight. People might think I've lost my mind. It can't be helped that you think so. "Stop it, Kendrick. What are you just staring at? Stop her. Isn't your sister out of her mind?" Michaela was screaming desperately. However, Kendrick did not respond. Instead, he silently watched my next move. The entrance was overflowing with Michaela's cardboard boxes. A mess. But it couldn't be helped. After throwing everything outside, I clapped my hands and walked towards Michaela for the final touch. "Well, now it's just Michaela left." "What do you mean? You think you can get away with this?" "Who knows? I can't hear the threats of trash." My smile must have been like a mask, mechanical and eerie. Michaela gasped at my creepy smile, looking at me fearfully. Without paying her any attention, I instructed Daniel to kick her out along with her slippers. "Hey, stop! No, Kendrick, help me!" Michaela begged Kendrick for help until she was thrown out, but Kendrick had no intention of listening to her. At this point, I understood what Kendrick and the others meant. "There's not a single person on your side here. Get out if you understand. This is my house after all." "What? What are you talking?" Before Michaela could finish, Daniel dragged her out, pushing her outside the entrance. Daniel, who managed to kick Michaela out, immediately closed the door and very thoroughly double-locked and even chained it. Michaela, now completely unable to enter, was left outside in the summer heat. She banged on the door and screamed for about 10 minutes, but her strength seemed to wane gradually. To make matters worse, neighbors came by and started whispering about her shabby appearance. "Mommy, look! That lady is outside in her slippers." "Hey, don't do that. Don't point." Even passing children mocked Michaela. For her, so full of pride, this public humiliation was hell. She crammed all her belongings into her car and fled the scene that day. Seeing this, I regained my composure and hastily turned to Kendrick. "What should we do, Kendrick? I'm sorry, that was—"
"It's okay. I know the situation. Besides, we should be the ones apologizing."
Kendrick suggested going back to the living room, and Mom had prepared tea and cake. I borrowed clothes from Kendrick and quickly changed to avoid catching a cold. After changing, I sat on the living room sofa, and Kendrick explained why he had been silent all this time.
"That woman? She was actually harassing Mom in the same way."
"What?" Shocked by this sudden revelation, Daniel and I looked at Mom in surprise.
"It all happened when I wasn't around. Mom told me yesterday. She was constantly harassed and mocked by her. Even made fun of you. It was really terrible."
Michaela had been bad-mouthing me every time we met, suggesting that my poor upbringing was due to Mom's bad parenting, and if the parents had more money, Kendrick wouldn't have had to struggle. That's what I confessed to Kendrick yesterday. Then he said that since you built the house, we should explain the situation to you and your family before deciding what to do next. And that's what led to today. Michaela, who even tormented Mom, could never be forgiven. Trembling with anger, I clenched my fists so tightly that my nails dug into my palms. Seeing this, Daniel gently placed his hand over mine.
"Harmony, I know how much you care about family. Maybe you don't have to endure this anymore."
"Danny."
"After hearing all this, I definitely can't go on with her either."
Resolved by Kendrick's determination, I also steeled myself to teach that woman a lesson. We pledged to act, and did so immediately. The next day, my phone was flooded with a storm of calls from Michaela. Kendrick, Daniel, and I decided to meet her alone. "What do you mean by this? Kicking me out of the house? You won't get away with what you did." We agreed to meet at my office, and as soon as she entered, her shrill voice echoed. Wearing the same clothes as yesterday, with dark circles under her eyes from lack of sleep, Michaela arrived looking miserable. Her loud voice was irritating, but I didn't let it show. Instead, I smiled sweetly, further infuriating her with my words. "I cleaned up because you said the new house gets dirty, right?" "What?" "I don't want someone as ugly as you in the house. The new house will get dirty with germs, right?" Saying so, I put my index finger to my lips, feigning cuteness. As unsuitable as it felt for me, it seemed to affect Michaela. Her face turned red as a boiled lobster, showing her anger. "Who's ugly? I'm far more beautiful than a third-rate woman like you." To say that with the same clothes as yesterday, and such a dirty face, impressive. "Whose fault do you think it is that I ended up like this? A woman like you acting all high and mighty." Doubling down on my previous provocations, I taunted Michaela, which angered her enough to come at me. Daniel stood protectively in front of me, and Kendrick, usually mild-mannered, showed his anger for the first time.
"Enough. You're in no position to talk down to Harmony and her family."
"What? Why should I be the one getting scolded? The bad one is clearly that woman." Michaela remained defiant, even against Kendrick's words. She must have looked down on Kendrick as well, deep down. She was after money. Thinking Kendrick had money and blaming me for losing it, she must have despised me. Despite having her own earnings, her greed showed what a despicable woman she was. As I glared at her with utter contempt, Kendrick slammed a piece of paper in front of her.
"I have no intention of going on with someone who can't even value my family. We're getting a divorce."
The paper Kendrick presented was a divorce petition, already signed by him and his father as guarantor. Seeing this, Michaela suddenly regained her composure and clung to Kendrick in a panic. "Wait! A divorce? Just wait!"
I don't want to hear what you have to say. My mind is made up, and if you refuse the divorce, I'll go to court if I have to.
Where do you think the money for that will come from? You don't have the financial power, so don't talk big. I'll support financially, so don't worry. Michaela initially tried to act humble, but Kendrick's words revealed her true nature again. Now that we had proof of her looking down on Kendrick financially, we could crush her without remorse. Smiling, I intervened between them. I noticed that Michaela seemed to be trying to explain what she's talking about, so I say something more. Didn't you know? Besides this store, I have several others. I have enough financial power to fight you. Michaela gasped in surprise at my words. Previously, a TV show had featured one of my regular customers praising my shop. The reporter raved about its beauty and deliciousness, leading to its popularity. Requests for more stores came flooding in, and now I have a nationwide chain. Kendrick was the only one who supported the opening of my shop. As a thank you, I gifted him that house. I had also heard about your planning to open a clinic nearby, and thought you'd need money. Michaela's face turned pale upon hearing the whole situation. She must have realized she had picked a fight with the wrong person. She was speechless. Since I still hold the property rights, I am the owner of that house. I can sue you for trespassing. What will you do? Will you fight? With a smile, I cornered Michaela, who seemingly gave in and began to profusely apologize. Even though Michaela continued to apologize, our family had no intention of forgiving her, and we kicked her out of the store. Kendrick and Michaela eventually went to court for a divorce. Given everything that had happened, our lawyer assured us that the divorce would be granted. Our family savored this joy. During the time she was kicked out, Michaela's face became well known in the neighborhood, and no one was sympathetic towards her. Her clinic had no patients and closed within 3 months. She shamefully fled to the city. Thus our family found peace. I continued managing my shops, and Kendrick finally opened his own. Kendrick, Dad, and Mom started living in the new house, which we remodeled for accessibility. Harmony, what happened? You suddenly went quiet. I was reminiscing during a tea party with everyone. Snapped back to reality by a neighbor, I responded. Sorry, it's nothing. I'm just really grateful to those kids. Thanks to them, I'm now enjoying a peaceful retirement with my husband. As we enjoyed the cake, I reflected on how these nearly 40 years were the stepping stones to my current happiness.